You sit down to study. You read the same sentence 5 times. It feels familiar, but 2 hours later, your brain wipes it out like it never existed. And here's the truth nobody talks about. Memory is not about being smart. It's not about having a perfect brain. Your brain is actually designed to forget most things. Because if your brain remembered everything, you'd never be able to focus on what matters. So your brain constantly asks one question: is this important enough to keep? If the answer is no, it disappears. That's why rereading notes usually doesn't work. Highlighting entire textbooks doesn't work. Watching lecture after lecture doesn't work. Because passive studying doesn't convince the brain that information matters. But neuroscience discovered something fascinating. Your brain remembers information faster when you force it to struggle the right way. Not harder, correctly. And once you understand this, memorizing becomes dramatically easier. Today, I'm going to show you the science-backed systems students use to memorize faster, retain information longer, and recall it under pressure. Not study harder, not motivation speeches, real memory mechanics. Let's begin. 1. Stop trying to store information. Most students study like they're saving files on a computer. Read, repeat, read again, repeat again. But memory doesn't work like storage. Memory is built through reconstruction. Your brain strengthens information when it retrieves it, not when it receives it. This is called active recall, and it's one of the most researched learning techniques in cognitive science. Here's what average students do. Read the page, feel familiar with it, move on. Here's what top students do. Read the page, close the notes, force themselves to remember. That tiny struggle, that's what builds memory pathways. The harder retrieval feels, the stronger the memory becomes afterward. That's why testing yourself beats rereading every single time. So instead of saying, "Let me read this chapter 4 more times," ask yourself, what can I remember without looking, even if you only remember 20%? Actually, especially if you only remember 20%, because difficulty during recall is often a sign your brain is adapting, not failing. 2. Your brain loves patterns. Ever notice how you still remember song lyrics from years ago, but forget what you studied yesterday? That's because the brain remembers connections better than isolated facts. Random information fades. Connected information sticks. So instead of memorizing, ATP is the energy currency of the cell. Think, ATP is basically the battery pack of the cell. Now your brain has a mental connection. Meaning creates memory hooks, and the more hooks you create, the easier recall becomes. That's why stories, analogies, visuals, and weird mental images work so well. Your brain is emotional and associative, not robotic. So stop asking, how do I repeat this more? Start asking, how do I connect this better? That one shift changes everything. 3. The 24-hour memory rule. Most forgetting happens incredibly fast. Research shows that without review, memory drops aggressively within the first 24 hours. Meaning, if you study something once and never revisit it, your brain labels it as temporary information. Gone. That's why students say, "I studied for hours but forgot everything on the test." Because memory needs reinforcement over time. This is called spaced repetition, and it's one of the most powerful learning systems ever discovered. Here's the simple version. Review information right before your brain is about to forget it. Not too early, not too late. Example schedule. Day 1, learn it. Day 2, quick review. Day 4, review again. Day 7, review again. Day 14, review again. Each review gets shorter, but the memory gets stronger. That's why cramming feels productive, but disappears fast afterward. Your brain remembers repetition over time, not repetition in panic. 4. Emotion is a memory superpower. Your brain prioritizes emotional experiences. That's why embarrassing moments from middle school still feel painfully clear. Emotion tells the brain, this matters. You can use this while studying. Instead of studying half asleep and bored, create intensity. Teach the topic dramatically. Pretend you're explaining it on YouTube. Use countdown timers. Turn studying into challenges. Visualize your future success. Study with focus music. Because emotion increases attention, attention increases encoding, encoding increases memory. A distracted brain rarely memorizes deeply. So before studying, ask yourself, how do I make my brain care? 5. The blurting method. This technique feels almost unfair when you try it. Here's how it works. Step 1, study a topic for 20 to 30 minutes. Step 2, close everything. Step 3, grab a blank sheet of paper. Step 4, write down everything you remember. Messy, incomplete, doesn't matter. Just force retrieval. Then compare it to your notes and fill in the gaps. Repeat. This combines active recall, error correction, and deep encoding all at once. And because your brain notices mistakes strongly, corrected information sticks much faster. That's why top students spend less time rereading and more time retrieving. Huge difference. 6. Your environment trains your memory. Your brain connects memory to context. If you always study distracted, your brain learns distraction. If you study while scrolling TikTok, your focus weakens. If your phone interrupts you every 3 minutes, your brain never enters deep learning mode. And shallow attention creates shallow memory. So protect the first 25 minutes of studying aggressively. No notifications, no multitasking, no quick checks. Because memory formation requires uninterrupted attention. The issue usually isn't intelligence, it's fragmented focus. 7. Sleep is part of studying. This is the part students underestimate the most. You do not fully memorize while studying. Your brain finalizes memory during sleep, especially deep sleep. While you sleep, your brain replays important information and transfers it into long-term storage. So sleeping after studying is not laziness, it's neurological reinforcement. That's why all-night cram sessions often backfire. You sacrifice the exact process that stabilizes memory. Want better retention? Study difficult material a few hours before bed, then sleep properly. Your brain keeps processing after you stop studying. That's the crazy part. 8. The advanced technique, interleaving. No students study one subject for hours straight. Math for 4 hours, then biology for 4 hours. Feels productive, but your brain actually learns better with controlled switching. This is called interleaving. Example, 45 minutes math, 45 minutes biology, 45 minutes chemistry. Why does this work? Because switching forces your brain to re-engage repeatedly. It improves adaptability, discrimination, and recall. It feels harder at first, but performs much better during exams, and that's what actually matters. Final message. Your brain is not bad at memorizing. It's overloaded with passive information. Most people consume more information in 1 week than older generations consumed in months, and most of it disappears because the brain was never forced to retrieve, connect, or reinforce it. So stop measuring studying by hours completed, pages highlighted, lectures watched. Measure learning by this. What can you recall? What can you explain? And what do you still remember after 3 days? Because real memory is not recognition, it's reconstruction. And once you train your brain this way, memorization starts feeling unfair. Not because you suddenly became a genius, but because you finally started studying the way the brain actually learns. If this video helped you, make sure to hit like, subscribe for more science-backed study and self-improvement content, and comment below, what's one study method you're going to try after watching this video? See you in the next video.